Hi you guys. I'm gonna do this video quickly on Osiris and what Osiris the meaning of Osiris and why Osiris is a god. Well, you know how we characterize body parts as body parts. Excuse me. Well, the Egyptians use a lot of things. They call a lot of different things gods, but I can see why. Um, it means something that has a power of or the authority of something. So the reason why they call Osiris a god is because it was talking about your conscious mind. When they talk about the book of the dead, the afterlife, like these, they studied the human body, they studied different things, and they did it in such a very direct and almost a perfection. These people were very very intelligent and very very smart. Okay, when I got right here just the 42 laws of math. That's what I have right here. They knew. Have I not seen? They knew that what would make you feel guilty, and what makes you feel guilty is your conscious mind. And these 42 laws are the main things back in the day what made people feel guilty. Like, have I not sinned? Have you not sinned? If you say no, you will probably be a lie. And sin just means something against your soul, or something against somebody else's soul, something against your humanity. Sin. Um, have I not committed robbery with violence? Have you robbed somebody and beat them? When they understood um, how you treat people really matters. They understood that concept, and I understand that concept. How I treat someone really matters. How you treat me matters. How I treat you matters. Okay, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and they knew that. They knew that. That's why they said, "Have you not committed robbery with violence?" Because okay, it's one thing to rob somebody and take something from somebody. It's another thing to beat them and rob them, and it's another thing to beat them, rob them, and then essay them. Those are you get what I'm saying. These are so these are um, against people humanity souls and against them against your own self, because if you do this to somebody else, that means you don't have self love. Uh, um, and they knew about mental illnesses as well. They don't call them the same thing we call them. They don't have the same logic that we have of them, because our wording and our language is different. And so that's the biggest thing when it comes to being able to decipher Egyptian language. That's why a lot of people need discernment, and you need to have a talent for it, a skill for it. Almost like for people who actually were back, that lived souls were back, that do we need those type of people that can tap into their soul consciousness and retrieve and retrieve and then break down what those things mean. Okay. Have I not slain men or women? Have I not stolen food? Have I not swindled orphans? Have I not stolen from gods and goddesses? And when they say God and goddesses, y'all would think that you talking about how can I put it? Um it's just different. I don't even know how to put it for you guys, because it say men and women on there, but God and goddesses. Have you not went like going into the house of God and preaching, and then how pastors say that they're taking the money for God and giving it back to the community and to the people? That's really what that money is for, to give. And yes, you can pay your preacher, or you can pay this person for their time and gift, but it should not solely be about somebody giving money to you and to your ministry. And that's like stealing from God. When you do stuff like that, that's stealing from God. Because our culture is different from their culture. That's why it's so hard for me to it take a minute for me to translate over, is because our culture is different from their culture. And how they worship God and how we worship God is two different things. And even what we call gods and goddesses, what they call God and goddesses, we call something different. So give me a minute. Um, that's another form of stealing from God, because you're acting out in greed. So have you been greedy? That's why those what's that called, the seven deadly sin? That's a form of greed, because you're stealing from a God. You're so greedy that you'll steal from a God. And you're supposed to be giving that money back to the church and to the people, and putting it into the people and putting it into the church and building up the church. But yet you're just buying you a house, buying you a car, buying you all this luxury stuff when it's not necessarily. It's not necessary. It's not needed. You just want, those are wants. And then you still have people in your church that's hungry. You still have people in your church that's building, not paying. You have still have people in your church where you have a house and a car. You own your house and your car. You have people in the church that have an apartment, that don't have, education on how to properly, and then you to properly own, know about ownership, how to spend their money, and then you will say, oh, they have all other programs, but you're the church. You're the hospital. You're there to rehabilitate these people that didn't have mothers and fathers and were in various situations that caused them to be like this, not because they wanted and not because of their choices, but because of situation and circumstances. And that's why you were put there. But when you're robbing and taking from them, that's who you're taking from. The people of God, from people elevating. That's what this life about. Helping one of us, help each other elevate, helping each other be better humans, so that we can come back on this planet and have a higher consciousness and have a higher esteem of living if we choose to come back. I have not told the lies. When you tell lies, that weighs on your conscious mind. And then the Holy Spirit just revealed this to me. It's not something I sit in or I thought about. Like I had been picking up on Osiris through watching Supernatural. The Holy Spirit had me to watch the Supernatural all over again. That's one of my favorite TV shows. But I was like, Holy Spirit, why don't you have me doing tarot or oracle cards? And the Holy Spirit's like, because I don't have to get messages. Let's be honest, I don't have to be into the tarot. And then I had so many people coming against my gifts just because I was so good at them, and they didn't want me to make money with it. And the Holy Spirit's like, okay, we'll let you have that. Like, I'm a peaceful person. We'll let you have that. And so they got me doing this. Because when somebody is so jealous that they want to destroy you, destroy your ministry, and you're doing nothing but helping. And I was exposing a lot of people too, and a lot of people don't like to be exposed. And now that everybody is exposing themselves, everybody is coming on here on this platform to expose themselves, and you can just, if you have the discernment of spirit, because people consciousness are higher, you can just look and see what's going on. You don't need me to point that out. So we have elevated. Have I not cursed? And then when they talk about cursed in this sense, it's not like, oh, shut the F up or something like that. It's not cursing. When you tell somebody they ain't gonna be ish in life, that's cursing. When you tell call somebody bitch and tell them they ain't gonna be nothing, that's cursing. When you tell somebody, when you throw a hex on somebody, that's cursing. When you're jealous of someone and then you act out in that jealousy, that's cursing. I have not closed my ears to truth, and I think that's one of the biggest things here in America. I don't know about any other part of the world because I don't know about any other culture. I don't live here in America. But that's one of the biggest things, that people don't like the truth. When you tell people about their celebrities and about people that they like and they idolize, they don't want to hear the truth. And then once the court cases and stuff start coming out, they be like, oh my God. But still, and it's people knowing that Diddy is guilty of the things that he done, and they say free Diddy. Why would you want to free an individual? It ain't say rehab Diddy. They ain't say institutionalize Diddy and give him mental health classes. They ain't saying free this man. They really want this man free to walk around and hurt people. They really want this man free to walk around and continue to do these things, to hurt people and to destroy people's conscious spirit auras. Like, what? And that's how you know America is really sick. When you guys people saying free Diddy, they're sick. And it's not to hate on Diddy, but let's be honest, Diddy is not a person that should be walking around free on this planet simply because of the things that he did. Because of the, and then when he do go on his conscious mind, be and if he was to weigh his things himself by these 42 laws of Matt, he would be found guilty. He would be found guilty. Guilt should eat him up. And if guilt don't eat, if Seth come and kill him, we'll get into why Seth killed Osiris and why what was Seth killed Osiris is the Cain and Abel story that they remade in the Bible. But and then they made us think that it was brothers, but it was talking about body parts and how people kill their conscience and are able to go do evil because they don't have a conscience. And that's what the Cain and Abel story is about. It's not about what people think it is. It's about people who are a person who is one person that is healthy and is born in good health and doesn't have anything wrong within their mind, body, and soul. And then we're talking about another person who came from the same parents, same mama and daddy, who is basically born mentally ill, born with an evil spirit, or born with something wrong with their amygdala. Or it's just talking about somebody that's born with an evil spirit, or something went wrong within their insides, within their in them, either in their mind, body, or soul. It could be either one, but basically, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about another part of the body. It was never talking about humans or two humans. It was a story to symbolically tell you about how to kill your conscience or how to kill guilt. And people, yeah, we like they take it, it's so many different ways and then it was created to they created. That's why they destroyed Egyptian culture. That's why they stripped us of all our culture and stuff like that, because we were very intelligent. We was not focused on all these idols and all these people as much. We was really focused on our inner world more than anything. When we were the people, the souls that lived in the Egyptian time knew to focus on their inner selves and their inner worlds, and they were less likely to look at somebody's. They were more likely to be gifted and operate in their gifts, opposed to being operated into superficiality and then putting other people who are not gods on the pedestal. There's some people that are men and women, and there are some people that are god and goddesses that walk the earth. Everybody's not a god. Everybody's not a goddess. Just because you see a woman and she's in the human form, don't mean that she's a god and a goddess. It don't mean the same thing as a man is a god. Everybody is not a god, and everybody's not a goddess. That's just what it is. Some people are just regular human beings. Some people are just regular, and they knew how to differentiate who was a god, who was a goddess, and who was a woman, who was a man. That's how they knew how to differentiate that. I have not committed adultery. I have not made anyone cry. I have not felt sorrow without reason. I have not assaulted anyone. I have not been deceived. I have not stolen anyone's land. I have not, and that's a big one. Christopher Columbus, he was very guilty. You know what? You know, there's a lot of those slave owners that stole, and a lot of people, if they had been set up with the 42 laws of Matt, and they have judged themselves on these 42 laws, they would have known that they should have, if they had a conscience or not, and if they should feel guilty or not. And a lot of people, when we go through the list, we understand that we are sometimes you're justified. Like, say if somebody come up to rob you and you defend yourself and you harm this person, or unalive this person, that's justified because you was minding your business and all you did was defend yourself. You're not wrong for defending yourself, and you be like, well, this person tried to rob me, like, what you want me to do, just lay down and die because they wanted to take what I had? So a lot of this can be justified. That is another part of Osiris, is that the reason why this person didn't feel guilty about this because this person was defending themselves, or the reason why the person didn't feel guilty about this is because this person was defending someone else. That's totally different. But a lot of people who go and do these things were not justified. They were the predators, and then this is how they determine people who didn't have consciences or conscious a conscious who had mental illnesses, and this Osiris in the afterlife, meaning in your spirituality, in your conscious mind, this is what they judge you by, because they understood it. They understood when you died. They understood a lot of different things, and I can't even explain it the way that I'm feeling it. Is because it's so many emotions that I'm feeling, that the words that we have in this society are so low in consciousness, that it wouldn't describe everything that I'm feeling from pulling from the Egyptian culture. It wouldn't describe it, because we don't have words to describe everything that I'm feeling. If that makes sense to you, if you follow me, if that makes sense to you, I can't describe, because it's so many examples that I'm being shown. There's so much stuff I'm being shown, that if I were to break it down, it would take like an hour to just even get one concept out. And that's how low we're falling in consciousness. That's how low we're falling into awareness of ourselves, our universe, the laws and stuff. Yes, we're vibrating higher than we were like a year or two ago, but if you think about it, when we was in Egyptian time and trying to translate this and trying to give this out, because of the cultures and the language barriers and the culture and the stripping, all that stuff, that slavery that happened, all that stuff that happened to put us in this lower state of consciousness, it's just not, the language is not appeasing to Egyptian. The way they understood stuff, the way they talked, the way that they spoke was intelligent, was higher. It was of higher consciousness. That's all I can say. It was higher. It's of a higher level than we could ever think at this time. Even people who were geniuses would be considered, back in the day, when you would be considered like average, or not even average, just like basic, not even average, just basic. So yeah, I have not seduced anyone's wife. I have not terrorized anyone. I have not disobeyed the law. I have not been exclusively angry, because when you harbor anger, and I'm glad they said that, when you harbor anger, that's what creates a lot of things, through cancer, sickness, mental illnesses, rage, a lot of racism. So that anger makes you hate, and when you hate, and you don't act in love, you can really destroy some shit. You feel me? My bad. You can destroy some things. Cute. Because I'm gonna put this video. I'm gonna try to put it on all platforms, but mainly this is for YouTube. I'm gonna try to put it on my TikTok. I'm gonna try to paste some of that on my Instagram. But basically, Osiris is your conscience, and people like, oh, it's a god. Yeah, your conscience is a god, because it governs. It means it governs your soul. It governs your awareness. It governs if you're mentally ill or not. And if you don't have a conscience. That speaks volumes. You get what I'm saying? That's why people can commit all of these crimes and not feel guilty, because you don't have a conscience. And if you feel guilty, what I feel like what happens to Osiris lets you know, like, hey, this person don't have a conscience. Then they give you a conscience in the spiritual realm. They know to give you a consciousness so you can govern yourself by. If you didn't have one in this lifetime, oh, here you go. And next time you come, you will know what to do and what not to do, and you have the free will to follow that or not. And it's up to you, because you're gonna sow the consequences of your actions, and that's just universal law. I have not behaved without violence. I even had to get delivered from being violent. I used to think, like, not even think. I used to, because my mom was such a gangster. Like, if you disrespected her or her kids or anything like that, my mom, or stole from her, my mom, like, she'll go off. She'll set it off right then and there. She had no problem putting you in your place and dare anybody to touch her or talk crazy to her. And in front of your people, she would whip your butt right there. I want to say something else, but she would, like, mom, and that's just the way I was raised. And so, well, not raised, but that's what I saw. And so after my mom died and growing up in abuse, I had to filter through all that stuff. And so, yeah, I used to be angry. I used to get so angry to where I put my hand on people cheering. Grown children that's already raised. That's crazy, right? But then again, It's not. Because you have to defend yourself. But everything don't need your reaction. And the type of anger I had, when people make me mad, I learned that I used to take out all my frustration, everything that happened within my lifetime, that abuse that I suffered at the hands of my grandma, my auntie, and uncles when my mom died. I used to take it out on everybody. Like I could just power up and just like unalive you, and that's not good. I had to be delivering people. Like this, I saw this lady. I told this lady about it. She's a psychiatrist, but my daughter have autism, and she has it severely. So they have to interview you to see if you're a fit parent. And when they was interviewing me, and I'm a very honest person because I have autism too, to an extent. I had the dyslexia part, the reading and the social part. I had too. My daughter has the social part. She can read and write, but it's, y'all know how autism goes, the spectrum, they say. So I was telling her about how I beat the girl. I was pregnant, y'all. I will fight when I'm pregnant. I will tell you, like, if you hit me while I'm pregnant, I will, like, you gonna die. Like, you hit my stomach, and my baby, like, I'm coming back after you. And I really meant that. And I really would have done that at that time if anything hadn't went wrong. I would have. That's just who I am, who I was as a person. That's who I was. And it was not healthy for me. And then I look back, I was like, why? Because I didn't like to be controlled. I was like, why did I let myself get that angry? I was just kind of, when I got older, I was kind of disgusted with my behavior. Even not like a month afterwards, I try to speak to the girl, and I'm just like, oh shoot, I whooped her behind and told her if she ever spoke to me or talked to me or if she called the police on me, I was gonna come after her again. And I was like, dang, that's such ruthless behavior. And I did not like that part of me. So I told God that I would never put my hand on nobody grown behind children. And I haven't. I thank God I haven't. I kept that promise to God so far, and I'm proud of myself. And the lady that I was talking to, and she was like, well, you was pregnant, you was hormonal, but I still knew better. Like, it's like that my hormones weren't controlling me to the point, it was my anger. It had nothing to do with my hormones. It was my anger. And even though I was right in the situation, I was hoping that I wasn't really hoping, but I was ready for her. I like, it's like I felt like she was gonna jump bad, because I told him, I said, she jumped bad. Like, I'm a dog walker. I'm not gonna stop until like she bleeding. Like, she got to be on the ground unconscious for me to stop. And that was my mentality. And then that's what I was doing. I had her neck. I was like 5 months pregnant. Nobody knew I was pregnant. I was trying to ram this girl's head through a wall. And people's like, it's hormonal. That's the more reason why I should have sat my ass down and let them people talking to me, went about my business. But I let my anger get the best of me and control me to the point where I was going to unalive somebody over some wordplay. Well, she did put her hands on me. She scratched up my face. And one thing about me, when I fight, you can do what you want to me. I'm not going to stop until I'm off. I'm on full adrenaline rage. I'm not going to stop until I'm off. Like, till I get off. Like, when I say get off, until like your body limp on the floor, that's like that's how I think. And I had to be, I'm like, oh my God, like, how can I be so ruthless? And that's how I was. And that's because I had a conscience and I had somewhere to grow from. Not even knowing about Matt and the 42 laws, not even knowing about Osiris back then. I just knew innately that I didn't want to be who I was at that time, and I was disgusted with the person that I was. And then on top of that, I don't like to be controlled. And when it comes to especially anger, hormones, and stuff like that, you need to be in control of you. And so that being said, that prompted me to change it. I told God I would never put my hands on nobody grown behind a child, and I didn't, because what was being said was like the girl supposed to have the HIV, and she did. But I wasn't the one passing it around. I just told my child's father, because I told him, if you sleep with this girl, not to pass it around, but to make him aware, like, don't come over here, because I got kids to live for, and I don't want to live that type of life. Back then when we was growing up, they didn't have all this medicine and stuff that they have now, so I was very protective of my yoni energy. That's why when people say I was a prostitute, I'm like, it bothers me, because baby, I not looking down on anybody else that does it or have to do it, but me, I took care of my body. I took pride in that I wasn't like that. I took pride, you know. So when somebody say you're a prostitute, it's like how dare you? It's like if you knew me, and if people who knew me in that area, in that romantic area, they know like how cautious I am. They know because my baby daddy, I went to the clinic like we gonna come on together. Not like I told her before. She was like, well, he got it. I said he ain't got it because she tried to say he got it. I knew that was gonna be her standpoint on it. But I said, unlike you, before I laid down with this young man, me and him went to the clinic together, and we both was non-reactive. And I showed her. I have facts. I brought my paperwork and his. I'm not saying that she got mad. Oh, so and you could tell she was lying, and then she started throwing her hands and just like doing like this and scratching me and stuff. And me, I'm gonna eat all that shit up. I don't give a fuck about none of that you doing right there. When she told me when I seen that she was scared of me, like I wanted to stop then, but my rage because she had scratched me in my face would not let me. I handled it too well, too well. So yeah, that is not good to be to be that angry, to let your anger control you to the point. Because at any time before it got to the point where we were arguing, I could have just walked out and like after she saw after I seen the paper and I'm like, well, I got paperwork, and I could have just walked out, but I didn't do that. I didn't choose to do that. So you live and you learn. But yeah, I told her, I was like, baby, I like you. I was heavy on going to the clinic. Like before I laid out with somebody, like I got a non-reactive. What's yours? And then when they told me, because one of my child's father, he was out there doing crazy stuff, and I didn't know it at the time. He was like, come on, let's go to the clinic, because he already knew I was the type of person to go to the clinic. I went every 6 months anyways, because I had a scare with one of somebody who I dated when I was way younger, and he told me he had it, and I'm like, well, I just had my baby. I don't know why I didn't get it. I don't have it, because he really thought I had it, and then he really thought I was gonna like be with him because we both shared the same, sicknesses, but I didn't have it. And then I'm the second born twin, and the second born twin usually have a titer, that meaning they have a high immune system for things like that, and you have to understand HIV is an acquired immune deficiency, meaning most people who have gotten HIV, it wasn't just because they got HIV because they slept with someone. Usually they slept with the person multiple times, or when they got HIV they had like syphilis or chlamydia or something that caused their immune system to be down first, and then they acquired HIV because it was active during the intercourse phase. So first your immune system have to be down, and then you get it. That's to my understanding. That's when I was back then. That's what I was taught, and I didn't get it. Cause I was like I filed all up precautions, like when I didn't know, like I didn't get tested when I was like 19, 20. And he knew better. The guy that he knew better. He purposely was trying to give me HIV, but I didn't get it. That's all I can say. I didn't get it. It's been well over 10 years, and I didn't get it. I'm not a carrier. People like to say, oh, well, you're just a carrier. I'm not none of that. And it's simply because I have a high immune system. I have very high tolerance for things, and a lot of times they're like, oh, you don't smoke, that's why. That's not why. It's just that I have a titer. I'm the second twin, and not only that, like even when I bore my kids, the doctors like tested my baby father. He's O positive, and I'm different, and my kids tested positive, and they said that's very rare for a child to have the mother's DNA. That's very rare. So that's how I knew, like it just everything confirms that I'm a very, very old soul, because my kids are my blood type, not his blood type. And it was like, that's how rare that is. And then when my first son was born, his umbilical cord was straight, and it was like it's supposed to be curly, it was supposed to be kinky, and it wasn't. I had so many different things that happened to let me know that I'm like different. Um, like I'm human, but I'm different. Like my soul is just different, and it has been proven time and time again that I'm chosen over and over again. I cannot ignore the signs, and people who fight to be chosen, who fight to do this, they don't understand the battle it is to be chosen at this particular time. But I get it. Everybody want to feel special, and to me, I don't feel special. I'm just who I am, and I have to integrate like how y'all are a lot of human nature. They're just normally like, oh, have this defense mechanism, or they have this what they call it. Like you guys can be selfish really easy. I had to learn to be selfish. I had to learn how to be selfish, how to have self love, how to have confidence. And you guys, a lot of you guys are either born with that or overinflated. And I wasn't. I had to build myself up to have those type of ability, those type of qualities about myself. And now that I got it, people want, oh, you're a narcissist. I'm not. I'm just really good at self-love in a positive way, not a negative way. I don't like how they say narcissists love themselves. They don't really love themselves. They make themselves feel of a high importance, and that's totally different from self-love. Oh, oh, I gotta wash my hands this way. It's really something that restricts them from actually feeling love. And to me, I actually feel love and I am loved. And instead of me running behind a man and be like, oh, I want to love you, I want to love you, I pour into myself. When somebody wants me to chase them, I be like, I'm good. Let me got to make sure my nails ain't dirty, make sure my nails are even before I run behind another human being, because you have to understand what's yours is yours, and if you run behind it, then it ain't yours. You already give it up. You get what I'm saying? But if you be calm, and then everything will come back together. You just have to, self-love is what attracts everything to you. And so those are one of the laws of the universe that I learned. Not because I know it's a law of the universe. I learned from experience, from a life experiences. And I feel like everything has to do with this. When it comes to spirituality, when it comes to the world in general, it comes from our Osiris. It comes from our consciousness. It comes from the afterlife. And the afterlife is our afterthought. Like what's dead, what's gone, what's in the past. It comes from the past. It comes from like how I went back in the past and I reflected, and I'm like, oh, sure, I don't like that about myself. Let me change that. That's that Osiris energy. That's the Book of the Dead. That's what it's talking about. And I people try to make it feel so abstract, or like it's like after you die, but it's talking about death on not just that level, but on so many other different levels as well. And these people were really intelligent. These Egyptians was really smart. They were really intelligent people. And this is the basic way that I can break it down to my understanding, using my understanding and the Holy Spirit and my discernment and my personal experiences. This is what Osiris is. It's just your conscious mind, whether you have one or don't have one. And if you don't, when you die, you're given a conscious mind. These are the rules that your conscious follow. Have you done all these things? And I'm pretty sure it was much more, but these were the 42 basic things that made people feel guilty, or what people either did or didn't do. These were the major things that people did, and their crimes against humanity, or crimes against themselves. When I say humanity, that could be yourself, your soul, or somebody else's self, or somebody else's soul. So it was like, say like what Diddy did, how he did all those kids, and he did to those kids what they say he did to those kids, and how he did all that is in their conscious mind. And if somebody have that in their conscious mind, somebody can have a memory of you doing something to them, of you hurting them in some type of way, of you committing this type of act against them. Yeah, you're guilty. You're guilty. Even if you don't think you're guilty, because this is what the universal laws are. These are the laws. These are the laws of the mind, of the body, and of the soul. These are the laws. So I don't know what, like, that's just what it is. These are the laws that our universal the universe go by, the afterlife, whatever your conscious mind. These are the 42 laws that are instilled within the conscious brain, the conscious mind. So even if it was a baby, just say if you are a baby, even though you can't remember in the body, but in the spirit, you're gonna remember. Oh, this person did this and that to me. You're gonna remember all that because it was against your soul, because that's something that you got to go back and heal. That's something that triggered a negative response and changed the chemical function of your whole being. That's just what it is. And so, y'all, Osiris is just your conscious mind on past, present, future. Well, I should say in the past, because it's talking about let me put it this way. Osiris is in your conscious mind, whether you're in the past, present, or future. And most people who are in the future are usually come from the past, meaning that you can go back and reflect on what happened in the past. And so your future self is telling you don't do those things, and that's why we have it written. So don't do those things, because it's going to eat your ass up. You're going to be guilty. I hate the way that I hate and I love the way that they portray. I hate it and I love it. And I never really hate nothing in love. Like, I have this love-hate relationship with certain episodes of the supernatural. Don't get me wrong. I learned when I hate something or when I dislike something or someone, that is an attraction. Something is an attraction. Because that means something I need to learn. When like, most of my friends at first, I did not like them. Like, my best friend, Latanya, I will never forget, I did not like her. And she did not like me. But when it came down to it, and we stopped talking and we just started being friendly with each other, we end up being besties. So that's why I love Supernatural, the series, as a whole. But that episode, I hate how they portray the angels. But then again, I love how they portray the angels, because it gets you to provoke your thought. It provokes a level of thoughtfulness. It provokes a level of intelligence in order to actually see. And if you don't like something, and you go, why don't I go like, why don't I like it? And I see, and then I see the other point of view. I see what they're saying, but I don't like how they, I would have done it in a different way. It's just what I'm saying. But, that was their idea, that was their thought, so they did what they wanted to do, and I appreciate it, and I love it for that. I love it for them that they put it out that way. You know what I mean? Because I didn't create it, I wasn't the one that thought of it, but the way that it convicted me when I watched it, it was just like, oh, how could you portray the angel like that? But you in order to make something like worthwhile watching and to provoke thought, you have to have a concept behind it. You have to have something to hate about it and love about it. You know what I'm saying? Else you're not going to provoke anything. You're just going to provoke, oh, they're so nice. They're so, it's just, it's not going to provoke thought. It's not going to provoke higher consciousness. And that's why I love Supernatural, because it goes beyond, what you see at first sight. It goes beyond our what's on the surface. It penetrates deeper. This video is pretty long. I'm not mad about it because I haven't posted in a while, so hey.